Have you ever felt like the world around you is slowly losing its warmth? Like people are drifting apart, hiding behind walls of suspicion and misunderstanding? Well, today I want to share a story with you. It's a tale from long, long ago, set in a land that has no name, about a village that had forgotten how to connect. In this village, the air was thick with silence and mistrust. Neighbors who once shared meals now passed each other without a word. Arguments would spark from the smallest disagreements, and acts of kindness became as rare as a summer frost. Everyone kept their doors and their hearts firmly closed, believing it was the only way to protect themselves. The laughter of children had faded from the streets, replaced by a heavy, quiet gloom. It seemed as though a permanent shadow had fallen over the community, a shadow born not from clouds, but from the hearts of the people themselves. Then one evening, as a sliver of moon hung in the sky, a stranger walked into the village. He was an old traveler, his face etched with the lines of 1,000 journeys, and in his hand, he carried a peculiar lantern. It wasn't like any lantern the villagers had ever seen. It cast a soft, gentle glow, but its light didn't seem to illuminate the path ahead. Instead, it pulsed with a life of its own, a warm, rhythmic beat that seemed to echo the sound of a steady heart. The traveler didn't speak to anyone. He simply walked to the center of the deserted village square, placed the strange lantern on the cold stone ground, and just as mysteriously as he had arrived, he was gone before the sun rose. The next morning, the villagers awoke to a strange sight. There, in the very heart of their square, sat the glowing lantern. Its light was soft, yet captivating. Cautiously, people began to gather around it, their curiosity stronger than their usual suspicion. They whispered among themselves, wondering where it came from and what it was for. A man known for his clever but often dishonest dealings was the first to approach. He boasted loudly about a deal he'd made, and as he reached out to touch the lantern, its gentle light flickered and dimmed, almost disappearing completely. The crowd gasped. He snatched his hand back, and the light slowly returned to its soft, steady glow. A little while later, a young mother, her face weary from sleepless nights and endless worry, approached the lantern. She didn't touch it, but simply stood near it and whispered, so quietly that only those closest could hear. She spoke of her love for her child, but also her deep exhaustion and her fear of not being a good enough parent. As she spoke these raw, honest words, the lantern began to shine with an incredible warmth and brightness, casting a beautiful, comforting light on her tired face. A wave of understanding washed over the crowd. This was no ordinary lantern. It didn't respond to boasts or lies. It responded to the truth. It glowed for honesty, for vulnerability, for the genuine feelings hidden within their hearts. Slowly, over the next few days, the village square was no longer a place of emptiness, but a gathering point for a different kind of conversation. One by one, people found the courage to speak their truths near the lantern. An old farmer spoke of his regret over a harsh word spoken to his son years ago. As he did, the lantern glowed with a soft, forgiving light. Two friends, who had become bitter enemies over a forgotten debt, finally admitted their own pride and hurt. The lantern shone brightly, and in its light, they saw the foolishness of their feud and embraced for the first time in years. People shared their secret fears of failure, their quiet hopes for a better future, their unspoken love for their families. With every honest confession, with every shared vulnerability, the lantern would respond. Its light a silent affirmation that they were heard, that they were understood. The change in the village was gradual, but profound. The lantern wasn't performing magic. It was simply creating a space for it. People started looking at each other differently. They saw not just the grumpy neighbor or the boastful merchant, but the person underneath, with all their own struggles and joys. The mother who had shared her exhaustion found her neighbors offering to watch her child for an hour, just so she could rest. The farmer who admitted his regret found his son visiting him that very evening, ready to mend their broken bond. People began helping each other, not out of obligation, but out of a newfound sense of empathy. The walls they had built around their hearts started to crumble, brick by brick. Laughter returned to the streets, and the heavy shadow over the village began to lift, replaced by a genuine warmth that had nothing to do with the sun. The village was healing itself. Then, one evening, the villagers noticed something unsettling. The lantern's light, which had become a symbol of their renewed community, was beginning to fade. Its once brilliant glow was now softer, dimmer. A panic began to set in. Had they done something wrong? Was the magic leaving them? They couldn't imagine their village without the lantern that had taught them so much. They gathered around it, their faces itched with worry, fearing a return to the cold, lonely days. But an old woman, the eldest in the village, stepped forward. She looked at the fading lantern, and then at the concerned faces around her, and she smiled a knowing smile. "Do not be afraid," she said, her voice calm and clear. "The lantern is not abandoning us. It has given us its gift." The villagers looked at her, confused. "Its purpose was not to shine for us forever," she continued. "Its purpose was to teach us how to shine for ourselves. It showed us the light that was already inside each of us, hidden away. We don't need it anymore." As she spoke, the people looked at one another. They saw the compassion in their friends' eyes, the trust on their neighbors' faces, the warmth in their shared smiles. They realized she was right. The lantern's light wasn't in the glass or the flame. It was in the honesty they had shared, the forgiveness they had given, the community they had rebuilt. As if in agreement, the lantern gave one last, soft pulse of light, and then it went dark, its purpose fulfilled. But the village was no longer dark. In fact, it was brighter than ever. Because the light wasn't gone, it had simply moved. It was now in the helping hands, the open hearts, and the kind words of the people. They had become the light. This story reminds us of a simple but powerful truth. The true light in our lives doesn't come from some magical object or external source. It comes from within. It's forged in honesty, fueled by compassion, and shared through understanding. It is the light we create when we have the courage to be vulnerable and the grace to listen to others. We all have the power to be that lantern for someone else. Thank you so much for joining me for this story. If it resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe and join our community. Until next time, take care and keep your own light shining.